Hey, Fix listeners. I want to take a minute to give you all an update on our DPO, Smile Now Dental Group. In case you haven't heard, we've been opening up locations all across the country for doctors just like yourselves. We started several offices this year to show proof of concept, and it's been off to the races ever since. So, if you're looking for an equitable partnership opportunity where you can have a profitable business that supports you doing full arch, I'd love to hear from you. We're looking to add several locations in the next year and want to offer the training and support necessary to make one of those yours. If you'd like to learn more, you can go ahead and hit me up on Instagram at Dr. Tyler J. Tolbert, or shoot me an email at tyler@smilenowdentalgroup.com and say hey. Now, without further ado, let's get back to the show. My name is Dr. Tyler Tolbert.
And I'm Dr. Soren Poppy.
And you're listening to the Fix Podcast,
your source for all things implant dentistry.
And welcome back to a special episode of the Fix Podcast and the All In, All on X podcast. So if you haven't heard of this show, it started fairly recently, I think like early September, and it's already really taken off. It's gotten a lot of traction. Dr. Adam Hogan, we've interviewed him in the past, and he's made a lot of waves in our industry, and he's talked to a lot of prominent dentists and clinicians out there, and he's all about going all in, putting all the chips on the table. And I would love to hear from him more about that, more about his philosophy on the podcast. We're going to talk all kinds of stuff. We have lots of topics to cover here, but I want to take over because this is going to be a simul post between both shows to help spread the wealth and talk more about full arch and the real world behind that. So, Dr. Hogan, welcome to our show, and thanks for having us on yours.
Yeah, it's great to be here, and what you meant to say was welcome back to the All In, All on X pod, right?
Okay, all right. Fair play.
You guys are the wily veterans of pod. I think I'm the veteran of dentistry, and I think we'll make a great show.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You got it. So yeah, just to start, could you talk a little bit about who you are, and we'll talk about who we are, of course, and then have that kind of lead into your reasons for starting the show and what it's all about and the kind of messages you're trying to get across.
Yeah. Well, it's good to talk to you guys again. First of all, I think we did talk a few years ago on a different pod. You guys were working under a different name, but yeah, Adam Hogan, run Full Implant Choice in Virginia Beach, Virginia. It's a full arch implant only practice here, and the Atlantic Implant Institute, which I'm really proud to say has a very comprehensive training program for full arch, very methodical approach to learning full arch in a 5-part series. And then we've got an office lab, 7 Cities Dental Arts, and now we've got the All In, All on X pod. Yeah. What about you? You guys have 9 offices.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
So it's we're full-time content creators, and we do some dentistry on the side. But yeah, so Soren and I, and we have a third partner who's been on the show a few times, Dr. Caleb Stott. We are the founders of Smile Now Dental Group. And so we've got 9 offices, mostly concentrated in the Pacific Northwest. We do have some as far east as Milwaukee, but we're focused on implants. Of course, we do a whole lot of fixed full arch. That's probably about 85-90% of the production in our offices. We also do singles, some overdentures here and there. And we've been doing this a while. We all of us have several, probably 600 or 700 arches under our belts, and we're still learning all the time, still getting humbled. That's kind of the world around full arch, and I think that we've got such a tight knit and niche community, being full arch dentists, and it's really important to keep the conversation going and keep things from being adversarial. I think we want to spread the wealth and talk a lot about the realities of this. I think it's very easy on Instagram and social media to make full arch look super sexy and attractive and make every new grad think that's exactly what they need to be doing and all they need to be doing. But we want to, help engender a more comprehensive understanding of what this is and the real ramifications of what we do, and help ultimately be a rising tide that'll lift all boats and raise the clinical quality across all the people that choose to do this. So that's why we started the Fix Podcast.
And I'll piggyback off of that part of the reason that we even started Smile Now in the first place was because we came from a background where we were training doctors that probably shouldn't have been where they were, like doing full arch way too early. And we saw a lot of nasty stuff that wasn't in our, best interest or what we wanted to strive for clinically. So just we decided that when we started Smile Now that we were only going to bring on doctors that had good experience, that were going to provide optimal care for our patients, and we didn't want our offices to be like a training ground for new grads coming out of school.
You bet.
I think I'm kind of aware of some of the complications you guys were having. I think it's a small world, and there's a lot of talk and buzz out there. I commend you guys for trying to take a more responsible approach. 9 offices. I mean, that's how'd you get started in that? I mean, I guess you had a background through the previous experience. Is that right?
Yeah. So we, at our last experience, we were in charge of all the equipment orders, supply orders, starting the offices, training the doctors. So for us, the transition was pretty straightforward. You know, the biggest thing, I think, the most difficult thing in this business, right, is marketing properly. It's getting patients in the door, right? Anybody can find a location, get the supplies in there, get the equipment in there. It's not easy by any means, but once you have a system down, like each one isn't too bad. The hard part is making sure patients come in the door and then keeping that provider happy. Because I know a ton of different DSO groups that have tried to make it in the implant space, and they bring on super high quality doctors, but then they just don't. The doctors are promised all of these reps, and they just don't get them, right? So it's a balance between opening those offices in a way that you have top of the line equipment, that the doctor in the office is happy, but then also making sure your marketing is at the very, very tippy top to get patients in the door, keep that provider happy, and keep the office running well.
Yeah, I commend you. That's crazy. And you know, it's all a people game, right? Like, you got 9 offices, you better have 9 doctors just like you or better. Is that right?
That's the idea. I mean, these are people that we've gone to courses with. A lot of them are ones that we've known for quite some time or have been recommended to us by, you know, people whose opinions we really trust. And, you know, we've not let the offices go ahead of the doctor. I think, you know, for us, it's always been about making sure we had the right doctor in the right place before we really hit go and stepped on the gas. And, you know, that can really get you in trouble when, you know, horizontal expansion and just starting more offices is the only goal. And the doctor thing is just kind of something you have to do to fill that space. And you get this sort of like warm body mentality. And, you know, that's just not something we wanted to do. And, you know, from the very beginning, we said, we don't want to grow super fast. We want to grow sustainably. We want to do it responsibly and have good doctors in place. And, you know, yes, we did get up to 9 offices in a little over a year. And that is really, really fast growth. But we do feel strongly that we've done that responsibly. And we stand by the clinical quality of what's coming out of there. I mean, we go in and we audit charts and we look at the kind of work that's being done. And, you know, when things do happen, we're all clinical. We'll go fly in and fix a case or help out if someone's trying to go to the next level. We're there to support them there. And, you know, we've been careful to make sure that we're not getting out over our skis and creating more problems than we can solve. And, you know, if we start to get a little overcapacity there, then we bring on more infrastructure. And I think that's really the balance, is just making sure that the clinical quality is there, because that's something we've really staked our brand on. And that's just doing it not just at par, but, you know, above par.
Yeah, it's so huge. You know, it took me probably 15 years to build a reputation in the town. You know what I mean?
It takes no time to ruin one, right?
And it takes 5 minutes to ruin your reputation.
That's right.
I always tell people, like, you know, you can fool the public for maybe 2 years and maybe hang on to your business for 5. But if you're not doing good work every single day, that's it, man. You're done. There's like a doctor across town that, you know, tried to parallel me, and, you know, he's not even a blip on the radar anymore because of the quality of work and what was getting done, and, you know, that kind of thing. So you got to be consistent. You got to be there for your patients, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, how do you not get over the tip of your skis 9 offices in 12 months? Like, I mean, don't you feel like you're in a free fall?
I will say that 3 of the offices were the partners, and we all were like very
that's important. Yeah.
And I would say the 9 offices were over 2 years, not 12 months. It was 24 months. We're at 2 years right now. So we did 4 or 5 the first year, with 3 of them being ours, right? So those ones were pretty straightforward for us to run. And then over the last year, we've done 1 a quarter. 1 a quarter is a little bit more sustainable. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's days that we're working, you know, 7 days a week, and we are grinding. Luckily, me and Tyler don't have children. We're able to work basically twice as much as you know, some doctors are.
Right.
But, you know, for me, it's really about the quality of that provider. For example, the last doctor that we hired, Dr. Ramsey Warner, he was working at an office in Denver here for quite some time, and he had probably done maybe 30, 40 arches. He has been to Orca. He's been to all the implant pathway courses. He's done Bernardo's course. He's done the whole gambit, every single course. You know, that solid Clark Damon's course.
I haven't seen him.
and we're gonna have to send him to Hogan's course now. Yeah. And basically, Hogan, are you affiliated with Orca at all? I thought I've seen you in some of their stuff.
No, I'm not. I've separated myself from that group.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get into it a little bit, but they got some good things going on.
Yeah. Regardless, the basically he went above and beyond to get the good experience, get his groundwork under him, and we were comfortable vetting all of his cases, making sure that he did quality work, and that's who is a doctor that we want to hire on to our offices.
Yeah.
Not somebody that's been like, hey, I've placed an implant at a weekend course.
Yeah, I think
let's do some full arches.
It's one thing to take on the responsibility of the business itself and getting patients in the door and making sure the right staff and things are there. It's a whole nother thing when you're having to hold the hand of somebody clinically. When you're trying to do both of those things at the same time, that's when you're asking for a house fire. So for us, having that solidarity of just knowing the people that we put in these offices know what they're doing on the clinical side, and they can really focus on making sure that they're picking the right cases and they're doing them correctly and they're setting them up right and giving them the support there. Knowing that they're not the liability there and most of the responsibility is on us just to keep the business healthy makes it a lot simpler for us. And there's a lot of our offices, I would say, generally when they're first getting started, they need more support. We're going to be there in person. We're there for those surgeries. We're licensed in all of our offices. So we're able to make sure that those first few cases are super successful until that doctor is very comfortable in their environment. They're cooking their own kitchen. And then a lot of times what happens is things start to get a little bit quiet. We look at the cases, they're coming out reliably. We're doing 15 and 25 arches a month in these offices. We're not hearing a whole lot of issues coming out of them. And then when the clinical side of things starts coasting a little bit and we can just really focus on the business, it gets easier to scale, and it's not like we're running around with our heads on fire. So it's just super important. And I think that for us, the show has helped a lot. Having visibility, as I guess I wouldn't call us experts in the field. Perhaps we are, perhaps we're not. That's for other people to decide, I suppose. But being people that talk a lot about this and engaging with people that want to learn about full arch has helped us find so many people who are very capable, but just didn't quite have the right opportunity to really focus in on this. And so I think the beauty in it is really just the vetting process and making sure you're getting the right people in the right place. And it's like you said earlier, Doc. I mean, it's a people economy, right? Like it's all about who's in those positions and making sure that they can run things on their own, with our support.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if you got the people in play, I mean, that's your most vital asset, the people, and that's the hardest piece of the puzzle. You can go out and buy equipment, you can buy locations, you can buy a marketing plan, you can buy advertising, but having the people in place to make it run. People come to me all the time like, hey, can you help me get set up on a project, on an office? And I'm like, sure, we can do that. I can do consulting for you. And they're like, where do I want to advertise? And I'm like, wait, hold on. Do you have the people in place to handle the calls before you start blowing $10, $20, $50,000 a month? Or like, I mean, would you have standard operating systems? Do you have it all the pieces? Who's going to do this? How are you going to funnel it? What are you going to do when they get in the office? They're like, oh, I don't know. I thought people were just going to call the front desk, and we just slide them into surgery on Wednesday. Like,
it's very easy to waste money on advertising if you don't have the proper framework set up to, a lot of these patients don't need to be called once. They need to be called 3, 4, 5 times, right?
24 times.
A lot.
So let's get into AI. What are you guys doing for AI?
I mean, we've toyed around with it a little bit. I think we've had different experiences with it. We pretty much anything that we look to roll out with a group, we usually start with our principal offices. So the three of us, so we can very tightly monitor how that's performing and see how it's working out. And we did the whole like AI receptionist thing, because one of the challenges is, we, especially with our advertising, we do TV and stuff, and we have odd hours, on the weekends and the early mornings and stuff like that. It's very hard to capture all those calls. And, if you miss a call, it's usually gone. Like a lot of times you can't get a hold of a person again. And so AI was kind of helping us scoop some of that up. And I think there's been some marginal success in us tuning that and really getting it to convert into appointments and at least consults, and then we can follow up in person. But for us, I think the human element is still really important. I think people really value that, especially older generations, which are comprise a significant portion of our patient population. So AI can be challenging in those kinds of ways. I think if you try to incorporate too much too fast, it can really work against you. And so we're trying to find that balance where it supports us, but we're still able to have that human element and people are talking to real people. I think it's still important.
I agree 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
We've played with the AI chatbots. We've played with the AI scheduling. We've played with AI phone trees. And ultimately what we kind of like consolidated was it can be useful for hours where people aren't working, right? Like if people are trying to schedule a call from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. or whatever it may be, sure, you can give it a go. But overall, most of our patients are 60 plus, right? And that's the people I want to be treating, right? I don't want to be taking teeth out of people that are 30, 40. 60 plus is great. And a lot of those 60 plus population, we've gotten a ton of data that they'll call up. If they hear one AI person, they hang up right away. So we kind of like moved over back to making sure offices have proper trained front desk staff that are willing to vet these calls and then keep them in place so they can continue on. But I'm really curious to hear if you've had any success with AI.
So I think it's still building. I think it's way oversold right now. I have looked at in the last 8 months, I have tried to partner with but bring in like 4 AI systems, and people, and they get sold as, oh, it's ready, it's so good to go. And then we get it, we get this garbage product out of it, and they go, oh, well, you have to train it. And I'm like, your product isn't even developed yet. You want me to pay for it and you want me to build it for you. And that's been the common theme with everybody. And so now, and we're working with a fourth or a fifth company right now that I think this guy's got it all dialed in. We're trying to get it installed now. And I don't really want to give a shout out because I don't want to endorse it before I try it.
Sure.
But it's been very disappointing, the results. And I think my opinion on it is, you can't stop the 65-year-old from calling you on Sunday morning when you're closed, or Saturday morning, when they're up and they see you guys are on Randy Alvarez, I'm on Randy Alvarez, and you got that Sunday morning TV show going at 5 a.m. and they decide I'm going to call the office, and then they get disappointed. Like, you got to have it answered. So I don't know that there's a right answer, because I've tried call centers and they're out, in India, the Philippines, or they're in Africa speaking the Queen's English. And those people, and I've had them in the United States too, and those people are never really invested. If you listen to those calls, it's appalling. I'd almost rather have a computer do it.
It's a toss up.
So it's like, you got to answer the call, or they're not calling back or picking up. I think that you have to have your AI bot say, hey, this is Susie, I'm an AI bot, but I'm here to help you because this is a family run office and we're not in right now, that kind of thing. So they know exactly what you're talking to.
I like that phrasing.
100%. Setting expectations like directly on the AI call is smart, I think.
And I think that, if we're having this conversation 2-3 years from now, it probably sounds very different, right? Like, AI is developing so incredibly fast and getting much more sophisticated. I mean, it's very debatable when AGI comes around. Like, that could be 5 years, it could be 15 years, it could be never. But more than likely, they are going to get sophisticated enough to where everyone's going to be using it. If you're not using it, you're behind. But I totally agree that I think there's a little bit too much excitement, too much hype, and we're believing in it a little bit too much too early. And it's just like people are trying to be first to market with this, AI receptionist and stuff, and just convincing you to throw a bunch of money on it. It's just not there yet. And the people element just matters. And I think it's going to matter for longer in our segment than it will in others.
Yeah, you can use AI to build your own program. You guys could do it yourself. I mean, I've looked at it myself. I just don't have the time. And you're going to have all these millions of people trying to build these AI, and you're going to have to see what rises at the top and what becomes the number one. And I think it's almost like a game of like TikTok reels. Like, what's the magic code, or is it just like accidental? So you got 50,000 people out there trying to make a dental AI answering service, and none of them that I've seen have it yet. And one of them, cream's going to rise to the top probably in a matter of a year or two, I guess.
Yeah, you bet.
I agree with that. Yeah. We're big advocates for letting other people test it out, and then once it's working fully, then it comes into our office. I think we did the same thing with a lot of like the digital and photogrammetry stuff.
Sounds like a dating strategy.
Yeah. I mean, with digital, we were definitely like slower on that train. We were doing analog for a long time, and then once photogrammetry came along and a lot of the other things to make the digital process a lot more simple, we're like, perfect. Now is the proper time to jump in. We jumped in, and we probably had 100 less issues than the people that were, trying to do a perfect scan and mesh it without photogrammetry and make a, arch out of that. It didn't work. So I think I agree. AI will come around, and once it's perfect, that's probably when we'll start incorporating more.
Yeah. Sure. Digital dentistry. It's crazy what people think of when they think of digital dentistry. I'd like to get your opinions on this.
Yeah.
Because I educate on digital dentistry and digital full arch. I'll take you back a little bit. I mean, I've been doing this I did my first All-on-4 in 2003. Okay. Miserable failed experience, by the way. I don't think the technology and the workflow was really there to even support it on a regular basis until maybe 10 or 12. Right. At least, for most people in office. That's when I got my first printer and I started doing my own exocad design and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's just really taken off since the advent of true extraoral photogrammetry. I want to say extraoral photogrammetry, not intraoral photogrammetry. Right. I think the word photogrammetry in the last 18 months has just been like a trademark stamp. Like, oh, I use photogrammetry. No, you don't. Like, you're just using that word. It's not. You're not doing that. We can have that discussion. I can go down that rabbit hole all day long. But when I was in analog, I was going to quit full arch, man. I was doing this stuff when, doing one arch a month, like 2012 or something like that, no problem. Trying to do like 10 or 20 arches a month analog, just right in the jugular right now. I almost went back to general dentistry before photogrammetry came out. I was just like sick of it, in the office all night long. My wife's like, you got to choose, the office or me, pouring models. I used to have these bins they were like 15 inches. You could put an articulator in the bin plus maybe 12 models, and these bins were overflowing.
Oh my God.
It was a mess. Couldn't imagine. But people don't even know right now. Like, I was at a study club last night, a local study club. Not going to say who, not going to say where. The doctor that was lecturing up there was saying how they're fully digital. And I'm looking at the presentation and I'm like, dude, this is like 15% digital. This is like so 2010, and he believes it, that he's digital. And I'm like, what, that you have an intraoral scanner? Like,
right.
Like, totally just educating the masses. We have to get people up to speed, don't you think?
Yeah. I think the whole digital world is, there is so much benefit, especially to like things like full arch dentistry, that if you have your proper systems down, you can eliminate not only a lot of issues for yourself, but a lot of issues for patients as well, right? Patients don't want to break a prosthetic, come into your office and have to sit there for 4 hours while somebody is like trying to put acrylic and put it back together, and then stick it back in your mouth. They want to call up, say, hey, I broke this. Perfect. You print a new set. They walk in the door, place a new one, send them on their way.
Ready for you. See ya. 15 minutes.
And those are the things that I think that it's not only like it is much better for the clinician, right? But also for the patient experience. And the thing is like educating patients, because they just don't know, right? They don't know that if they go to Joe Schmo on the corner that just started full arch and he's converting dentures, right? And doesn't really know what he's doing, to like somebody else that has an implant center, has photogrammetry, has mills, has 3D printers. They just aren't educated in that. And that's something that I think that maybe we as clinicians need to do a better job at, is like letting patients know like who, and I wish there was a better way to properly like review the actual treatment that patients get, right? Because sure, you can have 300 Google reviews, but if you've done 2 full arches before, this is the patient's third time, third arch, and they come in there thinking that you're the bee's knees, it can end up in a really disastrous situation for that patient, because they might not know how to fix problems that they create.
Yeah. Truth in advertising, right? like deceiving the public. This kind of one of the things I don't know that it's possible to get a governing board on this, you know. And I hate to say let's self-govern because dentists can be so cruel to each other with all these things,
we're
you
not
know.
we're not kind.
I mean, you know,
Oh, you
but
don't
like
want to know.
there's a big, large DSO practice just moved into my neck of the woods. Okay. And, you know, the website is up and the doctor's great. Nice guy. Really great. But the website's up and the reviews and it looks like the practice is brand new again. And they brought over the reviews from other cities about the practice. And I'm like, you know, we're not really talking about this practice, this location, this doctor, you know. So, and it's just like, and they put out, and I know competitors in town, they go, I'm fully digital. I'm like, I know you don't have photogrammetry. I mean, like, and I know you don't have an in-office lab, and they'll say everything's made here, and I'm like, please, I know people that work there. The only thing you have is a 3D printer,
Yeah.
like, you know. So the truth in advertising just blows my mind. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I'm just back here and I don't know that you can do anything about it, but I'm just back here in my own world, just like taking note. Like, wow, there's a lot of claims out there and a lot of claims of people saying this will last forever. What do you think about that?
I tell patients straight up, every patient that comes in my door that asks me about that, I tell them we have no idea how long this is going to last. Sure, there's a good chance that zirconia prosthetic I make you could last a very, very long time, right? But the implants under them, those
Yeah.
are the ones that aren't going to stand the test of time, and it really is going to come down to how well you take care of them. And I can't promise you anything as far as that goes. So I hate when places advertise that it's going to last a lifetime because we're clinicians, right? We don't know. If you go get your knee replaced, the hospital isn't going to tell you that knee's going to last your lifetime, right?
No,
No.
no.
So why are we
No.
telling patients that these screws in their mouth are going to last a lifetime? I don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah, it's irresponsible, but I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying really early on in the show here, Dr. Hogan, is, you know, you can fake it for about 2 years. You know, you can fake it and you can sling arches and you can just keep screwing them in and patients are going to seem really happy for about 2 years. But once all that starts coming back to bite you, like things go up in flames really fast. And we've seen groups come and go and they grow really fast. They'd be making a whole lot of money, getting a whole bunch of reviews, and then they're out. And you see the news article about all these abandoned patients. Like these things happen. And I think that over time, people doing it correctly with setting the right expectations and doing the right things to make things last long term and doing things when they're actually necessary, that will stand the test of time. And you just have to stay the course on that. Don't get distracted, I think, is the important message.
We're dealing with that right now in our Milwaukee clinic. Eon was a group out of Chicago. Have you heard of them, Dr. Hogan?
No, I have not.
So they had about 8 offices in the Chicago, like southern Wisconsin region, and then they just closed all their doors overnight. Didn't send the patients a letter, didn't do anything. And
So,
guess who's then managing those patients? They come into our office, right? They come into like the affordable and clear choice, and a lot of the bigger DSOs, they just straight up tell them no, right? We're like, okay, let's see how we can help you. See, like, if there's maintenance protocols, we're absolutely not going to like take on somebody's warranty that would people promise them the lifetime warranty, right? And then close their doors.
Right.
I'm not going to
It's
that.
just, yeah. But we see it. We've seen it a lot. We've helped to manage some of those situations, and it's really unfortunate for the patients that are stuck in the middle of it because they listen to the providers. They hear that they're going to have these teeth forever, and that person's going to be in that chair forever to support them, and then overnight that could be gone, and it's unfortunate.
And so much of it is marketing. I know I have the conversation at least once a week with a patient that is convinced that they need to do this so they'll never see a dentist again. And when I tell them that's not the case and there's no magic bullet, there's nothing can be done, they get frustrated. They get mad at me, you know, and I just, you can't take those kinds of cases on. Somebody will, I'm sure it's going to get done on the road. But I'm having that conversation all the time. I know the message is getting across and it's not something we can really reverse. It kind of has to will itself out.
I agree. I've seen so many places close down the cheap, you know, the cheap all on four. The quick fix all on four, the, you know, $15,000 arches, $12,000 arches, $9,000 arches. You know, first of all, we in dentistry, we know that that's a sham. We know that there are add-on fees later and you're paying for tiered treatment and you can upgrade and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
We know that to be true. But I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody come in less than 2 years, things are breaking, need a revision. And my policy typically is I'm just going to pull everything out and do everything over again. I'm not working on old implants usually.
Yeah,
Almost never. I can't remember the last time I did. But
very,
you might call that office and just find out the records or what happened. They're closed. They're
yeah,
gone.
we're going.
Like
Yeah.
they're not here anymore. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to put a message out here on your pod and mine.
Mm.
If you think that you're going to get rich quick selling 99.99 arches, work on finding your next career. Okay.
Yeah.
This is all this is work.
Yeah.
Have an exit plan right now. Yeah, have an exit plan right now. And the ones that do that, the most pervasive ones of doing that are the ones that are just looking to sell to an equity group in 2 years. Like they don't care about the patients. They're like, oh, look at my book of business. Look at all my revenue. Okay, I want to sell out.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. And what's scary about that is there's actually an office. There's two here in my neck of the woods in Denver. One is $12,000 zirconia with sedation, mind you. And
general sedation.
I'm just like, okay. First off, the second one thing goes wrong with that case, if one implant fails and you have to remake that prosthetic, you're underwater. Like, maybe not quite, right? I don't know what their margins are. I don't want to like assume anything, but it's just not sustainable. And it's like you said, a revenue boost where they can look really good for a period of time. And then the second something drops, it's like, it's going to be a storm.
When all the people start coming back with fixes, they're not going to be, they're going to be in the red on the balance sheet really quick on the P&L. Yeah,
100%.
That's the shame. And I think I think young docs need to know that. I think it's our job to let them know that this is work. I mean, I think there's money behind this for sure, but you're not gonna. It's not like you're just gonna like hit the lotto on dentistry. I mean, you got to keep on putting in the work or find someone that will, right?
Right, 100%. And I don't think people talk a lot about like the mental strength it takes to do these cases. There is a hell of a lot of cases, right, that they probably don't go like on the X-ray. It's like, oh, this case is going to be a slam dunk, and then you get in there, and all of a sudden you can't get torque on your implants, and like it becomes a mess. It's not fun to have those conversations with patients after. This is like it can look pretty on Instagram. It can look easy on Instagram, but there's a lot of days that I go to bed and I'm like, man, that was a tough day. Like I wish I was doing crowns today because I don't have to tell that patient like, hey, we decided in your situation that maybe it's better that we didn't load your prosthetic that day. And that doesn't happen often by any means, right? But when it does happen, it's not a fun conversation. It's not a fun conversation to look a patient in the eye and be like, hey, listen, we've lost a couple implants. We're gonna have to replace those and start from ground zero again. And that's the stuff that people jump in because they see it on Instagram and they get to sling a bunch of implants and do all this stuff. But I've seen more, like, we kind of talked about before, Tyler and I, we were helping hire these doctors. I've seen more and more doctors come in, do this for 3 months, and then head back to general dentistry. It's the capacity, it's the mental strength to be able to deal with the hard cases. That's the hard part.
Yeah. We are I'm loving this because of the people and that mental strain, but also it's like, I mean, that mental game, but also you got the strain with that as well. I mean, I just came into my office and I mean, let's just say it's a happy experience. And usually I wouldn't do this. It's the people that keep me doing this. But I just came into my office and I happened to bump into a patient and she just went on and on and on with, accolades and laurels for us. And I'm just like, come on, it's like hard to hear, but it's so like where she's identified, starts telling me the history of when she was a kid and all this stuff, and you just get sucked in and drained of emotion. And this is a positive thing, by the way. But think about that, how invested you get. If you're like me, I don't know if you can just turn it off. If you can, more power to you. But think about, I go through that in a day. When I'm not on a surgery day, I'll probably go through that with like 12 people. And maybe one of those people is having a problem too. And at the end of the day, you just go home and you're just like so tired. It's been a really good day and I love what I do, but you're like, I'm tired.
That's the reality of it.
The work that goes into it is way more than what people think if you're into it. And then you could go the other way and not know any of their names and be cycling through surgeries at $99.99 an arch. And I think that that's a different kind of wear and tear.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. Well, I would love to hear a little bit, changing gears just a tad. In the beginning of the episode, you mentioned, you've been doing this for 23 years, right? You're a veteran in this space. Like, I would love to kind of hear how full arch has evolved throughout your career. What, things that you've seen that have stuck, what things you've seen that have changed. And like right now, are we at like the epitome of the top of the line of full arch? What can change from here? Where, like, I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just for reference, how long have you guys been practicing? Where do you guys start at?
5 years.
5 years. Yeah.
5. Okay. So you guys are pretty much born into the digital age, which is great. More power to you.
The first 2 years we did fully analog.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
In-house lab tech, articulators, stone, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I worked with a team of oral surgeons, prosthodontists, I had a table clinic presentation my GPR year 2003. We did full arch. We did all on 4. It was kind of the big buzz from 99, 2001. People started talking about it a little bit. Even though the science behind this goes back to like 89.
Yeah.
And so I go into my GPR and my maxillofacial prosthodontist is like, you're going to do an all on X, all on 4. We didn't call it X then. It was an abysmal failure for a lot of, none of the principles that we know today were known really or talked about.
Yeah.
We didn't have good biomaterials. I think biomaterials and digital workflow kept me from really getting invested in that game much from my private practice days of 06 to 12. It just was like, it was a laborious procedure. It was difficult to do. We didn't have all the tools. Multi-unit abutments were just becoming a thing. Didn't have 3D printers in the office. So it took a lot of work to take someone through this. So in those years, I was more into the Mish style dentistry. Let's graft, wait, place, wait, load.
Yeah.
Everything was implant level.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of Mish style fixed, if that's a term, a lot of removable. And then in 12, I started seeing the literature pop out, maybe 11, 12, with repeated success.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I need a 3D printer. I think my first 3D printer was like 50, 60 grand or something. And I got an ExoCAD dongle. I ditched all the Sirona stuff. I got open systems and I started playing with it a little bit. And then it just kind of like evolved slowly from there. I think 16, I started getting very heavily involved in like full arch, like doing, 8 or 10 a month. And then it was like 17, I'm like, this is all I'm going to do. And when I said it was all I'm going to do, we still had a lot of analog work. We still had models. We still had verification jigs. We had tons of techs, dust, stone, mess. Everybody was ready to quit and kill each other. And then the photogrammetry came out, and it just kind of and the facial scanning, photogrammetry and facial scanning changed everything. I got rid of 18 or 20 articulators, all the models, all the stone. It became fun again. Where I think we're at, and I'll back up and say this a little bit. You guys had a couple years analog, and I think that that's tremendous. What the doctors I fear for are the doctors, because I don't think they should be shy of trying to do this. I think they know it's going to be a little harder to learn in a digital world.
Mm-hmm.
I think you actually have to, burn yourself with wax to understand how to design a proper occlusal scheme.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's just the learnings there. So I think I have an advantage of having seen it through more than 2 decades. But it's difficult if you've never done that. It's difficult if you've never had an articulator to look into an ExoCAD world or just trust what the lab is giving you. Believe me, the scope of this practice, it's so enormous. I think biomaterials are holding us back. I really do. I think that there's got to be something else. I'm a huge fan of monolithic zirconia. And I'm going to say this for listeners out there. There's a lot of people who think that doesn't work. And I'm telling you, you're just doing it wrong. It needs to be delivered a certain way at a certain time. It needs to be designed a certain way. It needs to be milled, everything. You've got to use the right milling software, profiles, everything. And it works very well. And I think that's the best there is out there for 98% of these cases. But I still feel like, when I look at like shrinkage in a sintering oven, things like that. I look at just the process of making it. I'm like, we are still so in the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Like,
how in the hell is this actually precise?
how in the hell are we calling this precise?
Yeah.
And we work so very hard, and they work. I mean, I've got like, I don't know, 3,000 of these things out there. They work, and and every time one comes loose and I take it off and I look under it and I'm like, no chipping, everything's great, everything's fine. Just put some new screws in there, put it back on. It's working, but the effort that we go through to get it is tremendous.
Yeah. No,
I agree with that. I think that we'll see definitely, like you said, improvements in biomaterials, improvements in printed resins, right? Stronger, better printed resins that'll last longer. I also think that I really, really like the idea of us incorporating AI, not into just like the front desk, but also into the lab workflows. I would love a system that could track the occlusion of a patient, right? See where stuff's hitting. Maybe after you deliver your prosthetic, it tracks to see, excursive movements, checks everything for you, and then tells you like, hey, this zirconia has an X percentage chance of breaking, and these are the changes. Like that's the stuff I think. Like if you look at different tech companies, right? They're way above and beyond that, and I'm really surprised that stuff like isn't more incorporated into dentistry. And I would love a situation where you could patient would come in, you could scan, you put your implants in, get your photogrammetry, and then the AI software just puts together a perfect full arch for you. That it takes into account all of the patient's forces by measuring all the guidance, and then creates a prosthetic for you. And I think that we'll probably see that in the next 5 to 10 years, or at least corporations. You think too?
I think maybe too. So I've seen full arch AI at work right now, and it's not released yet. I think it's just a matter of time, because AI. When you're doing AI, when you introduce it, just grows exponentially. And I've seen where they're playing with it. I've seen it in action, and you're basically going to get AI spitting out designs, and designs now are just going to start approving 10 or 100 sets at a time. And that's the way it's going to go until the AI is just so perfect, so that's coming. In fact, I've had lab techs say, hey, I want to go learn design. And I'm like, that's fine. You do it anything you want to do, but understand that you might invest a lot into learning how to design over the next 12 months, and then it becomes almost obsolete.
But by the time you're good,
you're good at it. So that's you got, and I think that there's still a lot of time left for lab techs to be hands-on with their craftsmanship with porcelain and print resins and zirconia. So the simple fact of the matter is that dental industry is so small. So I was recently out talking to AI robotic company, a medical AI robotic company out in Silicon Valley. And, I was looking at things that we could develop, things that I could be involved in. And because I had some ideas on ways to grow this space. And I'm not surprised I got hit with this. In fact, I kind of knew I was going to get hit with this before I went out there. The dental industry space is so incredibly small that nobody's really willing to invest, $400 million or $1 billion into creation of these kinds of, into improvement of this workflow. Whereas the company I was talking to, they're heavily invested in, cardiovascular and orthopedic research, AI and robotics for that stuff. But now they're talking in the medical space. They're talking to, $1 trillion industry, because everything's in network. I mean, everything's networked with hospitals and HMOs, management companies, and there's a lot of money and there's a lot of resources. Like if they develop something, they can easily sell it. In dental world, it's going to move a lot slower, unfortunately, just because we can't get the dollars behind it to get it pushed through. So that's just the reality of it. I still think that there's going to be a good number of decades for humans to be building teeth for now.
No, I agree. I think we'll definitely be on a lag just because we don't have that degree of market cap, right? We're not going to see the degree of innovation that we see in avionics and in tech and fintech, whatever. Like it's going to be very downstream for us. But yeah, I mean, I think that, when we're talking about the future of the workflow, I think, AI taking over the human element of design is going to be huge. We're already kind of starting to see some of the foundational elements of that. Like we've had Dr. Sven Bone on the podcast, who's doing a lot of some really amazing research out of, I think he's in Billings, Montana. I could get that wrong. Yeah, but finite element analysis of these arches, right? And you can map the occlusion, and the software is telling you where the high points are going to be, where the stress is going to be greatest, and it's not going to be long before you put the records into a program. And it's going to spit out a perfect design, and it's as foundational and stable as it could possibly be. And our design services we work with JB Dental Lab out of Tempe, and they'll turn around a double arch in 30 minutes, and I won't adjust a thing, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But
shout out JB, by the way. I'm using them too.
Oh, of course. We love them. They're sponsoring the show.
They're a sponsor.
We've been using them for years. But the truth is, like, that's the best in the industry. But in 2 years, AI could beat the crap out of that more than likely. That's just and we have to learn and adapt with that. But yeah, no, I think it's an evolving conversation, and it's really interesting. It's probably where digital dentistry is going to advance the most. I am curious about your thoughts on the subject of biomaterials. Do you think the future is additive or subtractive? Do you think that we should really be investing in milling still, or do we think that potentially that with printing, the biomaterial could get there in a short time?
100%. It's 100% in printing. It's 100% in printing. We just need strength of materials, and the cost of those types of printers to come down, hands down, because there's so much waste in milling, and just time in milling. It just takes so much longer. Finishing in milling. Everything can be so much faster in printing. I mean, but in milling, we're still getting better precision, and that's after the whole process of curating the resins and getting them ready for delivery in the mouth. I mean, my problem with printing and printing companies is they talk about this degree of accuracy in nanometers and micrometers and everything, and they're just like, it's not that easy of a science to predict, like in vivo, in the lab, in to equilibrate and calibrate across the industry. It's not that the fact is it's a range, and if we really look at it, and we looked at studies, sometimes it's a little disappointing. So they've got to get better in accuracy. They've got to get a lot stronger in materials for sure. But I think additive manufacturing is definitely the way of the future. I mean, we're going to see like space stations go up on the moon through additive, engineering.
We need only look at those other industries that have that kind of money behind them, right? Like they can print houses, right? Like they're printing metal, like all these things. It's not like we're just restricted to nano ceramics. Like that's just FDA approved stuff that's filtered down from other industries that innovate a lot faster than we do. Like we can see the future. It's already here, just in other industries. So I totally agree with you. That's been my take for quite some time.
One of these days, okay, in 5,000 years, they're going to dig up our bodies, and they're going to find zygomatic implants, pterygoid implants, and a zirconia restoration, all the, in these humans, and they're going to go, and then they're going to pull up the Egyptians with their gold teeth.
Yeah,
and they're going to go, they never got any better. They're like the same people.